Another day, another FPL pod. Jack, how are you?
Joshua, doing really well, thank you. Really well. It's a nice bank holiday weekend here, so they're never not good, are they? They're always good.
Doing
Weather's been
great.
good, and FPL has been very good to me this week, Josh. Spoiler alert: we got one game left of the game week. Man United, Brentford, so not a big one really. Not
No.
many people with players there. I think Ronaldo's the highest owned asset there, but even he's not that much these days. And yeah, it's been a monster game. It's been a pivotal game week, I think, in the season this week, ahead of the massive double. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about it. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, I mean, ticking along. Not been looking forward to this pod, Jack, because
Josh, your boy.
spoiler, you've done really well. At the start of this game week, I thought we were like quite well placed together. Going to do a little head-to-head battle, and spoiler, you've killed it. You've killed it.
I did
So,
think because our wild cards were quite different in the end. I did think one of us might pull ahead of the other one, but not to this degree. Just when one player goes off, like Son did this week,
and
you've just got to hold your hands up, haven't you? And then you capture them. Yeah, you just catch that lucky moment. Then yeah. So what we'll do. So this is obviously a follow. Last week we went through our wild card drafts that we'd picked. So this week we get to see how they've got on in game week 35 and how they're looking for that big double in game week 36 that really we picked them for. So we'll talk about what teams we did go with in the end, if we're going to make any more changes for game week 36, and who we wish we had that we maybe can't get in, or who we recommend you get if you're all listening and thinking of wild carding or making a transfer in this week. So yeah, be good to chat it through. But yeah, Josh, do you want to tell us how you did then this week? Then let's just pull the plaster off. What happened?
Yeah, well, like you said, we went through our wild cards, and then we did, after talking about our wild cards for the pod, our plans, massive bombshell drops. Man City getting, the double in 36, and so that kind of threw a lot of the plans out the window, because suddenly the best team in the league in terms of stats and in terms of points and everything in my eyes were in the running for 36. So I think you had to include them. So yeah, that aside, brought some City assets in, so changed a little bit from the wild card that we talked about last week. I'm on 46 points, so I'm on a green arrow currently, but I look across to your team, Jack, and it just doesn't feel like a green arrow to me, because you've
Don't
done very
compare,
well.
Josh. It's not healthy. It's
I
not
know,
healthy.
it's not.
A green arrow is a green arrow, as you've said to me many times.
Yeah, it's
So
not good in
worry.
life, is it? Don't look at the guy over the road who's got the Lamborghini.
Keeping
But
up with the Joneses.
I'm looking at the guy over the fence, and it's you, Jack. It's you.
It's me. It's me with my golden lawnmower. Yeah.
Jesus. But yeah, so green arrow, as I said, I should feel pretty happy. And yeah, the wild card did all right. I'm pretty Addison, I brought in goal with a clean. Cash got his clean. Cancelo got his clean. Foden as well. Nice returns.
Yeah.
Watkins, he was one of the ones that I wasn't that certain about. Stuck my neck out a little bit there, and so happy he got a 9-point return. And then outside of that, it was a little bit rubbish. I tripled up on Chelsea, and as we know, they did not do great.
No.
So that's well, we can talk about that for the game week 36 onward plans. But yeah, not great, not terrible, but overall, I'm pretty happy with a lot of those assets going into 36. But we can talk about that in more detail.
Yeah, I mean, those City assets you brought in actually did pretty well, didn't they? Edison, Cancelo, and Foden.
Lovely.
And you probably, I guess, you had them over. Who did you have them over? Kulu. I guess Kulu got a couple of assists, didn't he? And Martinez did okay, but Ramsey didn't do anything. And so you didn't get Coutinho in the end. Then I guess it would have been Foden over Coutinho, and that proved to be a good shout.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going into this final. It's like quite a small number of games left, isn't it? It feels like taking that risk on City assets isn't as bad as it was earlier in the season when you were really worried about their minutes and stuff. So yeah, it's worked, but City, isn't it? Like they could get rotated this coming week. So
they could see what happens in the CL, I guess.
But yeah.
Yeah,
So
I mean, the rotation was carnage, wasn't it, this week?
oh, it hurt.
The Salah, you
Janice,
should say,
it
you
hurt.
went captain Salah, didn't you?
Cappy Salah, and we were messaging actually, weren't you? You were saying, hope he comes on for this, like, because there's a
Yes.
lot of Salah captainers and you didn't go Salah captainer. And it turned
It's
out to be a
huge.
masterstroke because he did come on, and to be fair, in true Salah fashion, he had two good chances, I would say. One very
Yeah.
good, one kind of, you'd say, half chance. Saying that, the good one for Salah is because he had the pace to burn the defender and get himself into a goal scoring position. But that said, it was a chance for Salah, so he could have easily scored one, and it wouldn't have been so bad. So I'm not feeling terrible about him, but it just hurt that week. Janice, it hurt.
Oh, Janice. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as you say, I was praying he'd come on for that 1 point cameo, and it just fell. It was one of these weeks where everything just fell perfectly to me. You know, none of my players were rotated. Loads of other people's players were, like Trent Alexander-Arnold not playing. That's massive for me.
Killer.
Yeah, the Chelsea 11 looked great for me, even though they did nothing in the end. Just little things like that just all went my way, really.
But break it down for us, Jack. Then come on, we've
sure.
It.
So yeah, 72 points sitting on with everyone played. So really pleased, really pleased. I went with Foster in the end, Foster and Schmeichel, because that's kind of who I could afford. That was it. If I'm going to complain, Josh, that was my seeing Burn. I did the classic check my phone. 80th minute, Watford 1-0 up. Oh, brilliant! I'll bag those Foster points. Check back 2-1 Burnley. Devastated. So if I'm going to complain, it'll be about Ben Foster.
I don't know why you trust Watford. We all know never trust any Watford players.
I don't know why Schmeichel didn't get any more points, to be fair. He was on the bench with 2 points. So it's either or there. And I couldn't have really afford anyone else. Like I played with Pickford a bit, but I probably would have benched him anyway. So, I'm not beating myself up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Foster in goal with the 2 points. Cancelo and Robertson 5 and 6 points, really good. Alonso and James, as I say, when they both started, I was like, this is brilliant. These guys are they kind of weirdly felt like a bit of a differential having those two on wild card. And then Chelsea, so I'm a bit worried about Chelsea, but like you say, we'll talk about them in a bit. And then Coutinho with 3 points. So far, not very good. Josh, 2, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Rubbish hauls. But then the big game changer, I'm sitting there. You mentioned the Man City news. So after the Man City news, I was like, I need to get KDB here. So I think I took Havertz out of I basically rejigged them all, rejigged the whole team. So I took Kane out and I took Havertz out and I brought in KDB and Richarlison, I think, or it might have been Watkins at that point. And I was sitting there Friday night just thinking, Man City have got that Real Madrid game. They're 4-3 up. It's going to be, they need Kevin De Bruyne for that game. And so I just thought, forget it. I'll take him out. Son, let's give Son a shout. Let's give Son a go. Spurs need to push for this top 4 now. And what Spurs and Arsenal seem to do is whichever one is behind in the race for top 4, play really well until they get in front and then they play shit. So Spurs are now behind. And sure enough, they win 3-0 and Son's the main man. So Son was my captain, 38 points, and that's just the game week completely flipped on its head. Yeah, Saka with an assist. Richarlison did really well. Was pleased. That's the XG data coming in hot. He's been top of the XG for the last 5 weeks, so he was due a goal. And then Pookie with 2 points. Yeah, so it's really all Son when you break it down. I think you probably had actually more players who returned than me by number, but just that 38 points for Son is just unreal. So it just shows the captaincy thing, doesn't it?
But until that Spurs game, I was sitting pretty actually. And then it just flipped the whole mini league and overall rank, didn't it?
Exactly, man.
Because of them doing so well. But I think you have to say, Jack, that is, even looking back now, that was a massive differential shout. So
it was.
Fair play.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it's been. I've got to say, Josh, it is paid off for me since making the kind of plea to myself to just be just go, basically don't captain Salah is basically what I've been doing. And that has just coincidentally coincided with a bit of a dip in form for Salah for me. And incidentally, the captains I've been picking have been doing well. So I think that's all it is. But whether I carry that on into this big game week, we'll have to see, because I think captaincy is quite hard for this one. But yeah, so there we are, 72 points. Not complaining. How can I complain at that? Yeah, I think I'm up to 183k now. So yeah, 65k rank rise. I'm laughing, really. I'm laughing. It'll obviously dip a little bit after tonight's game when the auto subs come in and stuff. But yeah, I'm not complaining. Hopefully Brentford spank United just to round off a perfect week for me. But yeah, so there we go. There we go. Right, that's enough looking back, Josh. What's done is done. We can't change the past. Let's look forward to the biggest, most important game week of the season, I think it's fair to say. Game week 36. How are we doing this?
Well, I guess we should start by outlining why it's so big and why most people have been talking about it for over a month. Yeah. And that's because there's just a lot of doubles, right, Jack? So do you want me just to say what they are first, and then we can get on to the meaty stuff?
Yeah, do it,
man. So Arsenal have got Leeds and Spurs. Villa have got Burnley and Liverpool. Chelsea have got Wolves and Leeds. Everton, Leicester and Watford. Leeds, Arsenal and Chelsea. Leicester have got Everton and Norwich. Liverpool have got Tottenham and Villa. City have got Newcastle and Wolves. Norwich, it keeps on going. Norwich have got West Ham and Leicester. Spurs have got Liverpool and Arsenal. Watford, everyone knows Watford, have got Palace and Everton. And Wolves, to finish it all off, have got Chelsea and City. So I think that's, what is that, 12 all in all, doublers?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And of course, many people like me and you have... we have built our teams for this double, so we can bench boost in the double with 14 or 15 or majority doubling players, haven't we? As that is just the statistically the best tactic to do. You've effectively got 28 games, 28 players if you bench boost with the double, so it's a massive advantage. So yeah, so we're good. So how, Josh, I've highlighted the 4 teams that I think have the best fixtures in this double. So maybe should we just look at those 4 and see what players we think we should or shouldn't get from those teams? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's going to be most valuable for everyone, isn't it? Really, and us as well. So
delivering value.
Delivering value.
Let's deliver it. Good, right. So the first one I've highlighted, and this is a debatable one, it's Chelsea have got Wolves and Leeds. So a Wolves team that look pretty beached at home. And then they've got a Leeds team that are fighting for survival now, but probably feel a bit shell-shocked that they've been dragged into the fight. And who just don't look very good, Leeds, I would say. Rafinha's dropped off a cliff. So on paper, these look quite good for Chelsea, but Chelsea look a bit rubbish, Josh, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I mean, that last game week has obviously made us, a lot of questions are being asked now. But what I would say is you look back at the kind of underlying stats to kind of say, okay, let's not just go by the eye test and by what we're feeling right now. And Chelsea, since the beginning of April, have the highest XG of any team.
Do they? That's interesting.
So, you start thinking, okay, what the fixtures aren't, they're pretty good. That's why you've highlighted them. They had a bad game week last week. Everton were well up for it. They just switched to a back 3 as well, didn't they? So they had a formation change and they needed to fight. I'm not trying to make excuses for a terrible Chelsea performance, but one game, I'm sure Tuchel basically has had a right go at them, and you would expect some kind of bounce back for next game. But it's not guaranteed. Not guaranteed.
Yeah, I wonder if just that Real Champions League fixture just knocked the wind out of their sails a little bit, maybe. I don't know, because they, just to back up with the eye test, they did. That was the first game I'd seen them against Everton where they did look pretty toothless. I mean, apart from that one Pickford double save, it's not like Everton were hanging on, I would say, in that game. Whereas the United game, the 1-1, like Reece James could have easily had double figures in that game. Him and Mount they were just peppering the United goal. So, but to draw 1-1 against that rubbish United team, maybe that should have been a red flag to me picking 2 Chelsea players on my wild card, and that maybe they're just not quite right at the moment, Chelsea. And they must just think, well, I mean, I was going to say they must just think, right, let's just think about the FA Cup final. But they're suddenly third place isn't guaranteed for them now because of these results.
No, I mean, I don't know what more to say, because we know they have the ability in their team, and do really want to go off of kind of, they've got something to fight for. They're a great team. You know, they're ticking all those boxes and they've got the good fixtures as well. They're ticking all the boxes for a team that we'd want to pick assets from. I think though that after this Everton game, like recommending a triple up is a like step too far, is a bridge too far, I think.
Well, I was going to ask you, if you were wildcarding now for this game week, which Chelsea assets would you bring in, do you think, if any?
For me, I think it's still probably a good idea to have a defender, because, you know, Wolves for sure. The Wolves game at home, Wolves just don't have a lot of attacking output. Q Wolves scoring those.
Yeah,
but so Alonso or Reece James look decent. I mean, I'm on Alonso because of the whole Reece James positional thing. You know, will they switch him back to as a part of that kind of, as a centre back, basically, to manage his stamina and like the distance he's covering to rest him? We don't know. So, but Alonso's been playing pretty good recently. He is right up there in terms of, you know, XA. So his influence is huge. So a defender, great shout. And then if you're pushing a double up, like a Mount or Havertz, they've been the two that everyone's shouting about. I'm on Werner at the moment. He's my triple up, and
he's crackling.
I want to get rid of him. I want to get rid of him.
for the money he's worth. I just think he's rubbish, Werner, and he's showed it over he's had a couple of flash in the pan goals lately, but he's just not very good. And watching him, eye test wise, he just looks not that good. I don't know. It's hard to explain his kind of frantic style of play, but he just looks like he's trying too hard all the time, I think, Werner. And strange player. But I think for that money you pay for him, he's not worth it at all, even on a wild card, you know. I'd pick a Watkins or a Richarlison over him for sure.
Yeah, and actually, if I could have, I already had 3 City players. I would have gone Jesus for pretty much the same price.
Another good shout. Yeah,
he's been killing it. I mean, he's been overperforming his stats. He scored 6 goals, isn't he? I think in the last 5. So
yeah, he's on fire. He's on fire,
killing it. But yeah. So what do you think for Chelsea then?
Yeah, I've really cooled on them. I agree with you that Alonso is the best asset to have. I've got Alonso and James. I'm actually thinking of getting James out for these fixtures, just partly for the positional thing, but also because he just misses games sometimes, James, doesn't he? Yeah. So he was a doubt inclusion in my team anyway. And when he started, I was like, yes, I'm a Jack, you're a genius, you're a mind reader, and then he did nothing. And he didn't even look that threatening in that Everton game, annoyingly. And neither did Alonso. So I'm thinking of shifting the James out to maybe a Digne at Villa, but we'll come to our plans later. But yeah, Chelsea, I think Alonso, Mount still is their main man, it seems, in attack. He's kind of central and pulls all the strings. Havertz, I've really cooled on Havertz as well. I don't miss getting him out. So yeah, it'd probably be Alonso and Mount, and I'd avoid the rest.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so that's Chelsea for you. Yeah, I mean, Wolves and Leeds are great fixtures, but they're just not quite on it. And that Leeds game isn't that far before the FA Cup final, is it? I think it's 4 days away or something.
So they could switch it up.
I mean, surely they will. I mean, if Lukaku could get a start there, for example, or James could easily be rotated there, I think. Yeah, so that's that. Let's move on to Everton, Chelsea's vanquishers. They've got Leicester and Watford. Leicester obviously got spanked by Spurs. They seem to have their eye on Europe now. They're safe, so beached. And Watford just look a bit hopeless, don't they? That'll be been a massive defeat for them against Burnley. mentally they must be shocked by that. And are they adrift? How far are they adrift are they, if they win, could they still get out of the relegation zone, or are they actually cut adrift now?
Very good point. I think they're too far adrift, aren't they? They're on.
Oh my God, they're
points.
miles. They're 10 points behind. Yeah, I mean, that is wild. I mean, they're down, aren't they? They're down. They got the worst form in the league, 5 losses in a row. I mean, 10 points. I didn't know they were that bad. Jesus. They have to win every game, stay up, and Everton have to lose every game.
And that ain't gonna happen.
Well, they have to win every game, and Leeds have to lose every game, and Everton do, for them to draw level with Leeds. I mean, they're gone. They're gone. So yeah, I think these are great fixtures for Everton. What do you think?
Yeah, like Leicester are focusing on Europe, and as you said, Watford will probably be down, or at least in their heads, they'll be down by that point. And can Lightning strike again, like 2 more times with the Everton performance? The change of system, from what I could see, made a massive difference. Frank got them up for that game. Can they do it again and again and again? That's something we haven't seen. But their assets,
they are away. They're away games, aren't they? Which might go against them, but
yeah, can they get up for that? Different challenge, isn't it? But they do have, and this wasn't the case probably a few game weeks ago. They have some interesting assets now from underlying stats and because of those recent results. So it was kind of just Gordon before, and then Richarlison with the underlying stats, and Richarlison delivered again, so it's kind of give us a bit more confidence. And then I've a bit of a differential shout for me. I think more eye test than anything else is that Mikalenko.
Do you reckon?
Well, if they do play that 3 at the back, then he can just get on as a wing back. And yeah, I need to replace potentially Justin in mine, so I'm looking for a kind of like for like at that similar price point. So
yeah, nice.
So yeah, I think they've got some interesting players to keep an eye on.
Nice. Yeah. That Gordon looks class. Gordon, he's the main man there. So all of a sudden, he's got all sorts of trickery about him. Anyone else? Probably not anyone else. I would say Pickford's a good goalie option. Actually, he'll be full of confidence after that performance. He was unbelievable, and he's not that expensive either. So I think if you're looking weirdly for a keeper or you're wild carding, I think Pickford's a good shout to have.
Yeah,
but yeah, the ones you mentioned, who I'd go for. Yeah, I really like having Richarlison in. If he gets banned for this stupid flare throwing stuff, I'll be fuming. But
yeah, that was the only other thing I was going to mention. But you should know before the deadline, shouldn't you? So
of course, yeah, you should do. And apparently he threw it into an area with no fans, and like it's a bit of the photo looks worse than it is, but who knows? He's a hothead, isn't he? So
he shouldn't have picked it up in the first place.
Yeah, crazy. So the next one, Josh, Leicester have got Everton and Norwich, 2 of the best fixtures ever on paper, both home games, but they're in Europe. They've basically, against Spurs, they threw in the towel with that team selection. Dewsbury Hall benched, Maddison benched. You went with Dewsbury Hall. Must have been annoying for you, really.
He was on my 2 Leicester assets that I brought in for these kind of doubles were both on my bench this week.
Right.
But it has put big question marks over them.
What's going on with Justin? You mentioned you're looking to take Justin out. What's happened there?
Well, he was benched in the Prem game. I think he was prioritised. Obviously, that kind of defence that they picked was kind of just rotating or switching and resting a lot of the defenders that they were worried about for playing the European game. So he will again play on the Thursday game, and I think they've only have 4 days after that before the next one. And he's only he does miss games throughout the season. So I'm worried about him playing again on the Sunday after the Thursday. So I think he'll get one of them, but is that good enough in this game week? I don't know. But with the bench boost, it's not a massive deal, but it's definitely someone that I've got my eye on replacing.
Yeah, it's tricky. Again, if he was nailed and he'd play every game, he's one of those fullbacks that are just brilliant, aren't they? But I don't know. I don't
Leicester
know.
are just the more you look at them for this double, that just the harder it gets. So I think that you just tie yourself in knots thinking about, oh,
Yeah.
that player's good. Oh wait, they're the most like anyone who's good is
Even
likely
the
to be
strikers,
rested.
Daka. If I knew Daka or Iheanacho were going to play both games, they'd be 100% on the radar. But I mean, Madison with the long term plan, quote unquote long term plan, was to bring Madison in for after the double for the next double in 37 because they double then as well, don't they? That was the plan, but he's just the road. If they crash out of Europe against Roma, then I might consider it still. But for maybe a Saka, but I don't know. Even you like say the good players might get rotated for Leicester, so I think they're at the moment they're in a void and see what happens against Roma.
Yeah, it's frustrating because, like you said, the doublers,
yeah,
and the fixtures are great, but it's a big risk, a very big risk.
Yeah, for sure. The final kind of hot game I picked, the hot fixture I picked was Man City's double. So Newcastle and Wolves. Again, Newcastle on a bit of a victory parade, end of season survival parade, and looking good and kind of excited for the future. But they're still Newcastle, and Wolves look very much beach. So City, obviously Real Madrid this week, they're fighting on every front. Are we worried about rotation still with them, or do you think, are you happy with your 3 City players?
Forever worried about rotation, aren't we? But I'm even more worried, weirdly, that I got it right this week, because that must mean that I'm getting it wrong next week.
It's a poison chalice when you get it right with City, isn't it? Because you know it's coming. Apart, you've gone with Edison and Cancelo. They're the 2 most nailed, I would say.
Yeah, I think with Stefan's performances this year, notably the final.
Yeah.
Sorry, not the final, but the cup game when they played Liverpool. He was shocking. So I don't think Pep's gonna trust him again. So, and Edison can just continue. It'd just be mental fatigue or psychological fatigue that he thinks, oh, can he play that many games? It's not physical fatigue, is it? But I think Edison will just keep playing. Cancelo a bit worried because there's a lot of games coming up. And Foden, he seems to be just playing him, doesn't he? And he's young enough to just keep playing.
He's good, isn't he? He's really good.
They've got a lot of talent just to chuck in his place. So a bit worried about Foden.
Yeah, again, I was so lucky. I'm just counting my luck again this week. I had Mahrez and KDB in at one point in my draft, and both were benched and then just went away from them, swerved away last minute because of the little doubts, and just crazy. KDB benching is amazing that they did that, and they just won at a canter again, didn't they?
I think I said at the beginning, I think that they're the best team in the league, and if they win the league, then they deserve it for sure.
I don't know. Liverpool, I don't know. That's such a hard one. It's another debate, but Liverpool are just irresistible on their day. I don't know.
I mean, if you win the league, win the league, you've won over 38 games, isn't it? So you deserve it, no matter.
Yeah. You can console yourself with that if they
yada.
So those, if we're gonna, again, that question again, if you were at a fresh free wild card now for next week, would you stick with the City players you've got, or would you maybe go for any other ones or fewer of them? What would you do?
Question marks over Foden, but I still think I'd pick those 3. The only potential question mark I'd have in my head for my team specifically would be, if I didn't have Foden, I could get Jesus in attack instead of Werner, and then obviously go for someone else in midfield, because I don't have Saka in my team. And the only reason I didn't bring him in is because I was worried if he would there was rumours of his injury, weren't there? Like, would he come through in time? And he did, and now he looks good for this double coming up. So that would have been the one for me. Would have been Saka for Foden and Jesus for Werner, but meh.
Yeah. I really like the Jesus shout. I hadn't even really thought of him before you mentioned him, but I think he's brilliant. If because again, the striker options, there's only 4 or 5, I think, that are even remotely viable. And one of them's Kane, who's crazy money. So, yeah, I really like the Jesus show. Yeah, I've only got Cancelo in from the City team. It's just, again, it's that fear of rotation for me, and he seems the most locked. But again, even he can miss out. And the horrible thing with the bench boost week is, if your player misses out, that's just less points you're going to get because your bench are already playing. So it's just it's a kick in the teeth when they do rotate. But I'm sure the ones we've mentioned here will play at least one game. It'd be very surprising if a Foden or a Jesus or a Cancelo misses both games. I would say would be a big surprise. Yeah, cool. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we discussed the key assets in those 4 fixtures, Joshua. But are there any more? I mean, I feel we should move the conversation to the main man of the hour and maybe his teammates as well, Son and Spurs. So they've got a horrible double, really, Liverpool and Arsenal, but they looked pretty good. How are you feeling about Spurs assets?
Yeah, I think if I was to boil it down as simplest parts, he would be a hold for me. And the only reason that he wouldn't be a buy is, for me and probably many other people, you'd be getting rid of Salah. And I think maybe Salah is as good a shout, if not better, than him going into this double. Or like someone like KDB if you've got them. And I think maybe he's slightly better than KDB, but it seems a sideways move potentially to go from one of those two over to Son. So that's who I'm comparing. That's why Son's only a hold. The reason is, you said the fixtures already. That's top of my mind. And, you know, up to this game, the last 2 to 3 games, they were not great.
They were bad, I agree.
Yeah, they were terrible. So that's another point. And then the last point for me is you look at his underlying stats, and from the beginning of April, he's like 15th for XG.
Is his Son?
This is Son, and he is incredibly overperforming them, like plus almost 4 on his XG.
I mean, his second goal of the weekend must have been XG at 0.01. It was outrageous. I mean, sorry, yeah. That's a good point.
I was just going to say, from in that period, the only person who's like anywhere near overperforming to his level is Ronaldo. So that's the kind of sharpshooter form we're talking about. So it comes down to, you know, pick a player in form because they're on form and they're great. But then the flip side is that is not sustainable.
It's tricky, that debate, isn't it? We've gone back and forth on that debate. I mean, one of my Spurs supporting friends before the weekend was saying Son is the best finisher in the league, he thinks. Yeah. So if you're gonna kind of defend an overperformer, it would be with that kind of fact of like XG is based on the average finisher from that position. And if someone is well above average, like Son is, then and Ronaldo is, then they are going to outperform their XG. But I do agree. I agree with your points. I'll add another one in that Leicester were just a bare bones B team on the beach, fully focused on Roma Leicester team. And you're right, the 2 games before that, Spurs Bennett didn't have a shot on target, I don't think. So it was a very much an opportunist move to pick a Spurs player against a B string Leicester team whose defense are bad anyway, even when they're in their A team. So yeah, I think, I won't be captain Son this week. And I think a lot of people are going to be bringing in Son and Kane and getting excited about Spurs again, only for them they may struggle a bit. Well, they'll definitely struggle against Liverpool and Arsenal. I mean, who knows which way that game will go. I mean, that's a massive game, isn't it? That should be a great game to watch, but I couldn't call which way that game will go, Arsenal or Spurs.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, he's the best finisher in the league, but if he hasn't got a chance to finish, then, and that's what the kind of XG is pointing to. Like, he gets chances in some games and maybe not others, because he's not getting as many chances as the ones, you know, that are the other, because he's the second highest goal scorer in the league at the moment.
He is,
he's chasing down Salah. But what I would say is, funny enough, I'm actually more confident in a return for him against Liverpool than I am Arsenal, because I think the derby will be tight. I mean, they always are, aren't they? And fractious. And I think it'll be a harder game for them to play. But with Liverpool's high line and offside trap, we know that teams get through. And I think I've seen Kane and Son beat that offside trap before.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
And I think Kane will get him through. And it comes down to that thing that you said. If he gets a chance, he'll score. I think he'll get through multiple times. He'll be offside a lot, but he only needs one. And I can see him scoring against Liverpool.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm happy. You're right. The hold is the one. And do you think Son's the best Spurs asset out of the Spurs assets? Or what do you think of Kane?
Son's best because of the goal scoring. Kane's just become more of a playmaker. I think he's still great, but for that price, sorry, I don't want an assist king. I want a goal king.
Yeah, he has got this. I saw someone wondering. Yeah, Cooley's a great shout at his price. I saw someone pondering whether, because Son's in that golden boot race, whether Kane would let Son take some penalties to actually get there, because Kane's nowhere near it. So that would be interesting if he did that. But he is quite a selfish guy, Kane, isn't he? Like, do you remember that Ericsson goal, the ghost goal off his head?
Yeah. Did he say like his daughter? Like, I
swear on my daughter's life, I touched it, and the replay is just like, don't think you did. Don't think you did.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I can't see Kane doing that, but you never know. So yeah, I'm not too excited about having Son for this double now. It's just he's paid dividends already in this week against that rubbish Leicester side. So yeah, I wouldn't rush to get Son in, basically, is what I'm saying for this double.
He's worth so much, you're probably going to have to make big moves, aren't you? Like, you're going to have to probably take someone out quite big for this game week.
Yeah, a Salah, like you say, most people with Salah, who is a better option. KDB, I am still not sure about, even for the double. I think it really, if City beat Real, I think they're going to wrap Kevin in cotton wool for that CL final, you know.
Yeah, that is a
but they also need to keep winning the league, so it's so difficult. It's just so difficult to know what Pep will do at the best of times, let alone in these crunch times. So yeah. Son for KDB is not the worst move.
No,
but
and then that's, if you're not wildcarding or not free hitting, then it's, again, you're burning a transfer for what is a margin call, isn't it? So
yeah, it is. What about other assets, Josh? What are we doing here?
So yeah, we covered the key fixtures, covered those. I guess a nice way to give context to other players I like is to talk about my team, Jack, and who I need to get rid of. So I need to potentially get rid of a defender in Justin, a midfielder in Dewsbury Hall, and a striker in Werner. So let me pitch to you these dudes, and you tell me. Because this pod's all about, you know, me getting value. This is me getting value from the pod. So
sure.
Justin,
forget the listeners. Screw the listeners. This is all for you.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. Tune in or tune out. Just Justin. We're getting Justin out. Who would you pick out of Mikalenko from Everton, White if he's fit, or Tomiyasu?
The White one's interesting because he didn't play, did he, out of nowhere, and that wasn't a reported injury. So I probably wouldn't touch White. Especially Leeds and Spurs, I don't think it's great for Arsenal anyway, and that goes for Tomiyasu too. So the other benefit of Mikalenko is he's got the double, and he's a nice differential, and Everton are going to be playing for everything, aren't they? So yeah, I'd go Mikalenko for Justin for those reasons.
You highlighted Dean, so Mikalenko versus Dean.
Dean,
one defender.
It's tricky with Dean. Yeah, it was kind of unexpected that Dean played. Like, he hadn't been reported fit, and then suddenly he was on the team sheet and he gets a double pointer. So yeah, Dean is a risk, but his upside is huge. I mean, I think Burnley, Liverpool against who have they got? Leicester, Watford. Yeah. Maybe Mikalenko is the one, you know. I don't know enough about Mikalenko of how attacking he is and how, like, is he attacking?
You've got one game week sample, which of them playing the back three. But when they played in the back four, he was just a meh, nobody. But I think last week he actually got forward. And
I doubt Lampard will change that system now. They beat Chelsea with it, really, surely. Or will he?
I mean, it's Frank. Super Frank. What is he going to do? You know.
Frankly, my dear. I don't know.
Could give a
Yeah,
damn.
don't give a damn. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I imagine he's a lot cheaper than Digne, if you care about that sort of thing.
Yeah,
But
don't actually know his value, so I shall look that up
yeah, you have a
right
little look.
now.
I mean, both of them have got the double. Villa's second double. What are they? Maybe that'll hinge on it. So Villa, I think they play each other, don't they?
They
Villa
got
Everton in that second
Villa's got
double.
Palace and Burnley in
Oh, maybe not.
37,
Yeah,
and
see, that's
Everton have got Brentford and Palace. So comparable.
not much in it. Not
Uh-uh.
much in it. I think Palace is a horrible fixture for both of them. Actually, Palace look really good. Palace look great. I think my 37 move, if I do this Digne move, will be getting Zaha in. But we'll talk about that next episode, guys.
Yeah,
So
spoiler. Come on, Jack.
yeah, tune into
yourself.
that same time next week. So yeah, that's tricky, man.
Yeah,
That's
Nicky's
tricky.
4.9.
I mean, that's outrageously cheap. And then Digne's probably over $1 million more than that, right?
Dean.
Dean.
Is
The Dean.
the Dean is the little drum roll. Dean is 5. There's only 0.1 in it.
Oh my god! Oh, I thought it was way more. I thought it was way more than that. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, keep an eye on Digne's fitness because he drops like a fly, doesn't he? I'm leading towards Mikalenko, you know, and you might have changed my mind on that with James
check
Tim.
the stats before you go.
Yeah, it's been tricky, but I'd prefer either of them over an Arsenal defender. I think.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from there
For that double.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So Dewsbury Hall, Josh, why are you? You've just brought the Jew boy in. He hasn't played a minute for you because he's been on your bench, and now you're having doubts.
Yeah, Jubes. Oh, because I wanted a Leicester because their fixtures are great. I wanted a Leicester asset, and cost came into effect because of of Foden and other players they wanted who value was good or high. So Jubes was a cheap way into that midfield. He's been good recently.
Yeah, he's great.
But now he's been rested. The same, he's been a victim of his own performance. I think he's now critical to that team, critical and importance to that team. So he's been rested. He probably could be rested again. So the midfielders I'm looking at are really like this kind of Saka or Martinelli. The difference in price is huge. It's kind of annoying because Juve is so cheap. So that not everyone might be able to do that. I might not be able to do that. It depends if I get rid of one for someone cheaper. But they're the ones on the short list.
Saka, Martinelli. So again, Arsenal heavy. Yeah. I still think Martinelli is at risk of rotation with Smith Rowe. So I wouldn't be Martinelli. And I don't know. I know Arsenal fans love him. I don't think he's that good, Martinelli, personally. Saka on corners, got this issue from a corner at the weekend.
Pens.
Seems to have shaken off the fitness concerns he had. Kind of their talisman almost now. So I might go I'd go for probably Saka there, but I don't think Dewsbury Hall's that much of a sell, really. I don't know if he's
with the double, there is value further down the line, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, yeah. And they'll have Roma on Thursday, I guess, unless it's in 2 weeks, but I think it is this week.
Yeah, it's just 4-day recovery.
Yeah, maybe. I think Dubes is for his price, and Rodgers won't want to just appear to be throwing in the towel completely in the Prem. Mm-hmm. And as we discussed, they've got Everton and Norwich, great fixtures, both at home. I think the Dubes is decent. I think he's a decent hold, man.
Yeah. Okay, so outside of
but if
Arsenal,
you're going to do it, I'd go Saka. Yeah.
And outside of Arsenal, anyone of interest?
Yeah, I mean, Coutinho, I'm not that excited about having. I kind of didn't want him, and then I kind of bottled it and got him because a lot of the stats were looking okay and things. But again, he ghosts in and out of games, Coutinho. Like he does sort of. I'm in a Villa fans WhatsApp thing, and like when he was banging in the goals, my friends were going, he's the best player we've ever had. He's better than Grealish, just the best, most talented player we've ever had. And sure enough, he's gone quiet again now. And it's more similar to when we had got Barkley last season, like on fire for about 5 games and then did nothing. So he's not as bad as that, but I'm not that excited to have him for 7 million. He's not that good. I probably wish I'd picked Ramsey and invested the money higher elsewhere. So Ramsey could be a replacement for Dubes, but I think Dubes is better. I think he's better.
That's a shout for midfielders. And
Yeah.
then the one striker, Werner, obviously, we talked about him, thorn in the heel. Strikers wise, Nketiah, Richarlison, I can't have him, but Jesus, I think, should be thrown into that mix as well. And we both got him, but Pookie, where would you put those four? Nketiah, Richarlison, Jesus, Pookie.
If we're going to rank them, I'd go Richarlison, Nketiah, Jesus, Pookie. I think like a Pookie, he disappointed me. Pookie against Villa. I thought he'd have more against a beached Villa team. And yeah, I think Richarlison's a must buy. I think he's a must own. Richarlison. I think he's your best replacement for Werner. He doubles. He's the Everton's main man. If he doesn't get the ban, obviously for throwing the flare, I think he's just class. He is actually good, isn't he? And he's about the only firepower they've got. So I think he'll definitely play both games against Leicester and Watford. So I think he's a no-brainer, really. And Nketiah, he should have definitely scored at the weekend. And he's super cheap, which is great. But something tells me Lacazette will get some minutes at least in the double. So that's what puts me off him a bit, even though I've got him. And then Pookie is just Pookie. Just leave him in. Hope Norwich do something. Now the pressure's off them. Maybe they'll do. Sometimes relegated teams do that, don't they? They get relegated and then they win a couple just to get out there and enjoy it. So yeah, I think Pookie isn't that great, but probably keep him. And I think they're all better than Werner, I must say.
They are.
I think I would ditch Werner for sure. And you've already got Watkins. He would have been in there. Definitely. Yeah. He's someone I kind of wish I had a bit, Watkins, really.
Yeah. Yeah, he's fast in the pan sometimes, isn't he? But good advice. I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
Just, I guess, our plans now, Jack.
Let's do it.
What are you actually going to do in real life?
Well, I'm not going to do a whole lot because I love my team for getting me these points. It is just that, do I move Reece James on to a Digne or a Mikalenko, who's come onto my radar as of half an hour ago? What do you think I should do with James?
That is tricky. I think context is there's no other fires in your team, is there? So he is literally the one person to consider to get rid of. It is tough because you're not trying to free up cash or anything. And James,
no,
actually, I think there's an argument to say keep him.
Do you think?
I think so. Do you have any money in the bank?
Don't think I do. No, I don't think. I don't know how much he is. So he is. I've got 0.3 in the bank. So he's 6.4. So I can basically afford anyone except Trent, essentially. So I did have another City one in there for a while. I had Laporte there for a while. But my feeling is if I do ditch him, I want to bring in a doubler. So it would be a Digne or a Mika. Because that would give me an extra fixture essentially to play with. So
yeah,
I don't want a Burnley defender.
I think you've got all the important doublers as well in Gordon and Richarlison and Leicester a bit wishy-washy. So yeah, I think there's an argument to say keep James, and I would say that Mikalenko is maybe a bigger risk but has that double. But you could just roll and make that move next week, for example.
That was the plan, to roll and then make 2 changes next week. Maybe get some Palace in. Don't know. Yeah, that's TBC. But then the only headache I've got is the captaincy. And I think it is hard this week. It is tricky. If you're playing safe and trying to hold your rank, I think it has to be Salah this week. Even though he got benched this week, I can't see, he's not going to be, I mean, you tell me, Josh, he's not going to be being benched, is he?
I think Salah doesn't get benched much. So when he is benched, normally he's good for a long time afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think that he should be good now right through to the end of the season in all competitions. I think he'll probably play all of them now. Right. Out of all of them, the rotating attackers, he normally plays the most minutes and is rotated least. So the fact he's been benched now gives me so much confidence they will just smash the rest of the season.
Yeah. So I think it's on him at the moment. But again, as we mentioned earlier, I've been doing very well by avoiding captain Salah in the last 10 game weeks, really. But the issue is there's not Son against Liverpool, Arsenal. I'm not interested. And the rest of them, I'm not really. I mean, it sounds crazy, but Richarlison's tempting me against
Literally about to
Leicester and
say,
Watford.
I
That
think
sounds
he's the
mad, doesn't it?
differential shout, isn't he?
I think he is, but that just seems insane because it's Everton who've been terrible, and he's crazy and notoriously inconsistent. And yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I think it's going to be a Salah because I think bench boosting this week is enough of a differential play that that's enough of an edge on people, because I think 38% of people overall have used their have used their bench boost already. I think that means, I think I'm looking at the right stats here. Yeah. So 38% of all players have used their bench boost already. And then if you add in, there's going to be a load of dead teams. You're probably looking at over half of active teams have used the bench boost already.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we take we're in a division with 40 pretty much active players, and in that league, can I even get these stats? I think I can. Oh, maybe that 38% was for this league, actually, looking at it. Yeah, so like 40% of those active players have played the chip already. So I feel like that is enough of a differential. So maybe captain Salah, but I've got the bench boost active.
Hedge your bets. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. Rather than going crazy wild on a captain and bench boosting, like maybe that's just more different than I need to be.
Yeah, there isn't like a solid differential shout, isn't there? It's not like a half step or you're really jumping into the differential pool if you go outside of Salah. I think that Richarlison seems like a long jump, but like underlying stats and fixtures, it's not terrible.
Yeah. Oh well, I've got the stat now. 80% of all teams have used the bench boost already, which is mental, isn't it? Which is absolutely huge. So yeah, it's a massive edge to have. It's a massive edge to have. Yeah. So there we go.
Lovely.
Yeah. So I'm feeling good. So I think it's going to be Salah, unless we hear any crazy news. Yeah. Talk to me about your moves then. Which of those three moves that we analysed are you going to make, if any of them? And will you make two? Would you make more than one and take a hit?
It's funny that despite Dewsbury Hall and Justin most likely missing out on one of the two games, I still see Werner as a bigger fire to put out.
I know what you mean. Even though he's more likely to play in both.
He'll probably play more minutes combined, but I've gone off him a little bit. And I think not just the fact that he's not looking great, but I think bringing Richarlison in, I think, is a big swing in potential points.
It's the upside, isn't it? It's not so much that Justin and Dewsbury are bigger fires. It's that you've got a brilliant replacement for Werner, whereas the other two, their replacements probably aren't as impactful, like you say.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly how you put it. So I think I'll go Werner to Richarlison, bag a mill for the bank ready for next week, and then probably not take any hits and just go from there. Because like I said, I think Justin and Dewsbury will probably play one of the two, which isn't terrible because likelihood is, looking at all these other players, some of them will be rotated and rested as well. You just can't predict, can you? So there's no point thinking about it too much.
Yeah. I think that's the right move, man. That's the right move. And then Salah, you're going to stick with Salah?
Yeah, Salah for me. I need to kind of. Argument to say I could go differential to gain that rank, but I think I've just got confidence in him hauling. So, and I know if I don't pick him, I'll be hating watching those Liverpool games.
It's horrible. I've been playing that game for a long time, Josh. Yeah, as you can see from my dishevelled appearance, it's been stressful, very stressful. But yeah, I'm back on the Salah train now, so I'll have a shave and get my hair.
Welcome.
Get my life back together.
Have a beverage on the Salah train.
Back together. Exactly. Good. Nice. So, I mean, I guess all we can do now is kick back and enjoy the United game, and look forward to the biggest double of the year.
Oh, this is what we play the game for. I'm excited.
Bench boost season. Love it. Love to
Don't
see
forget
it.
to click the bench boost if you've got it. Don't forget.
I did that before the pod actually, because that is
That's huge.
easily not done. Easily not done.
Oh my god.
I'm just gonna see the Man United 11, and yeah, pretty standard. Ronaldo, Fernandes, Varane, Dalot does play. Yeah,
all the big assets. Yeah,
Rashford benched again is probably the only notable thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, good.
Good.
All right,
yeah,
Joshua.
Again, check us out. Check our TikTok out, and everything. And yeah, like and subscribe as usual.
Yeah, thanks for listening and good luck with your game week.
Yeah, cheers everyone. Cheers, Jack.
Cheers, Josh. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.